Welcome to the Leadership Confidence Podcast. I'm Jennifer Kelly, and after 15 years in the public service, I have learned that there is no set and forget rules for leadership. You don't need specific tools in your toolbox, and you definitely don't need to have all of the answers. I'm here to tell you to stop trying to perfect the unperfectible and instead learn to lead in your own unique way. Before we get into today's episode, please subscribe, follow, or leave a review to help this message reach more people who need to hear it. Welcome to podcast episode number 5, the last episode in our intro series. I am so excited that A, we have gotten to this point, but B, that you have joined us for this episode. So most podcasts don't make it past episode 3. By just getting to episode 5, we are already in beaten 90% of podcasts that start. So really excited that we are on episode 5 and that you have been here on this journey for this intro series week. Throughout the week, we have broken down the leadership confidence framework. And if you want to have another listen to any of those episodes, please go back. They were step 1, breaking barriers, which was episode 2, where we talked about the imposter syndrome reset, reframing your negative self-talk, and recognizing the fear that actually underpins both of those things. Episode 3, we talked about building value. So finding your genius and then working out what your confidence amplifiers are so they can help you just boost yourself and your confidence throughout the day. And then episode 4, yesterday, we talked about step 3, being seen. So really standing out, showing up in your leadership presence and your influence based on your genius. So what I wanted to share with you today was a little bit less scripted and a little bit more just of running you through the imposter syndrome journey I have been on in even starting this podcast. So I am the imperfect perfectionist. I know that I'm never going to get anything perfect, but man, would I like it to be perfect. And every single person that I've listened to that started a podcast or started anything really, business wise or just trying a new venture, they have talked about how terrible those first couple of episodes were, or how they recorded their first podcast in their wardrobe surrounded by cushions to try and create the right studio type sound, or sitting in their car with just their iPhone trying to record episode 1 because they just wanted to get started. And a lot of the advice that I had was just record, don't worry about video, because when you add video into the mix, it does add another layer of complexity. You can distract yourself, which I occasionally do by looking at yourself on the screen or worrying about what you look like. And so I, being the perfectionist that I am, I wanted to start with video, and I wanted to make sure more so, not so that I could put some of these on YouTube. I may do that, but this was more so that I had some content that I can then add into my social media like Instagram and LinkedIn, Facebook, etc. You can find me at the Jennifer Cowley on those 3 platforms if you want to follow along. But I really wanted to make sure that I had something that I could use that was visual, that was catching, and that people could see, hey, there's a podcast, come in and listen to the podcast. Because at the end of the day, the whole purpose of starting a podcast is to get listeners so that I can help women on their journey with all the things that are in this leadership confidence transformation journey, including imposter syndrome and negative self-talk, etc. So I wanted to be able to have something that I could easily repurpose into social media. So I did work hard on getting things a little bit, I'm not going to say perfect, but to a level where I would be comfortable recording. Now, that can be very difficult when you are recording from home, when you are have a young baby at home. So trying to, make sure that my hair is brushed and I have mascara on can be quite difficult some days before I start recording. And let me tell you, if you look at any of the snippets or video from episode 1, I forgot to put my lipstick on for that particular episode. And I had already tried recording that episode 3 times. And so by then I was like, well, we're just doing it without lipstick on that particular one. Who's even going to notice? You probably will now that I've told you, but I doubt anyone would really have noticed without me saying that. The reason that I recorded that first episode in particular 3 times before I got it right. The first time I recorded it and it recorded with no sound. And I was like, great. This imperfect journey has started wonderfully. This is exactly what we wanted. For an imperfect start, no sound, can't use any of that. Off we go. Record number 2. Record number 2 happened, and then my baby woke up from her nap. And, I've got the monitor here on my desk. I know when she's sleeping, and I'm able to kind of work around her main sleep nap of the day. But, she woke up and I was like, right, okay, I need to go and sort that. Then I'll come back and I'll try again. So I went and we had some playtime and, gave her another feed, all of those things. And then I came back and I was like, great, I should be able to get this first episode done. I just want to get the first episode done. And I got 5 minutes into episode 1 for the third time, and my husband and my toddler walked in the door because the entry into the house, the back door into the house where we enter from the garage, comes straight into my office. And I was like, well, we're done. We're done for the day because now there's going to be people in the house. It's going to be noisy and we're going to be done. And I was very overwhelmed and just stressed about the whole thing. And, I was thinking, I'm never going to get this done. I'm trying too hard. It's too hard. I'm not going to be good enough to say what I want to say. I'm not going to be able to get my message across. And it's just, I've set myself up to fail. And then today I've put the baby down for her sleep, and she has continued to sleep. I've been able to record all 5 episodes of this week 1 intro series in one hit while she's been asleep. And I keep going, oh, I'll just see if I can get through the next episode. And I'll just see if I can get through the next episode. And here we are, episode 5, and we're going to make it. We're going to make it. And I'm so excited that we're going to be in a position that I can start now playing around with editing and getting it ready to launch. The interesting thing about actually launching this podcast was I had to remind myself that I was setting my own deadline. And I wanted to launch it the week starting the 6th of July, which is the week that I'm actually recording it. That's how delayed I am. And I had a big long lead in, and I was planning to have all the episodes up and running and a whole heap recorded well in advance so that we could hit go, and then I could start engaging with the guests and getting the guests scheduled in so we can start recording them. And of course that didn't happen. And I got to 2 weeks before this week, 2 weeks ago, and I said to myself, you have put this deadline on yourself. You have said that you want it by this week. It's not going to happen. So let's shuffle it back. We've shuffled it back by 2 weeks, and I've now made, as long as I've started releasing things by the end of July, I will feel content in that. But I'm trying to give myself a little bit of flexibility because I have to be kind to myself. I have small children at home. I am recording a podcast for the first time. I have a range of other responsibilities. I still have my other business that I'm running at the same time. So it's, making sure I give myself a little bit of breathing room and am comfortable with that. This is my own parameters that I'm putting on myself, and I can change them. I can move the goalposts because it's my podcast and it's my sanity. that I need to protect. So, once I kind of realized that I could do that, I've calmed down a little bit, and then I stepped in to do the recording. I was like, "Yes, we're gonna do the recording." And then yesterday was schmozzle, and then today I feel a lot better. We've obviously gotten through 4 episodes. We're in episode 5, and we will be able to launch our intro week very, very soon. And you are here listening to that, and I'm very excited, which means that we've done it. We have done it. One of the things that I have been tossing up on this journey is whether to do scripted or unscripted. And one of the I get so passionate about these topics, and I want it to be perfect, and I want the message to really resonate. And so I automatically lean into I should script it, and I should just perfect the script and make sure that it is going to be the best script ever written for every single podcast episode. And I as I said, I don't have time to perfect that. You have the trap of going down the line of AI, but then it starts moving away from my thought leadership and my area of genius, and will start sounding very generic and not unique at all. And also, I've had feedback on some of the scripted videos that I've done previously that it doesn't sound like me. That's not what I sound like. It sounds a little bit too robotic and scripted. So I'm trying to blend the two together and come up with a happy medium where I feel like I have enough notes to be able to talk through the concepts that I want to meet, but be able to um, have the space to go with the flow and let the intention flow out of me. So that's where we're at, and you can probably tell the difference a little bit between the scripted and the non-scripted. Obviously, I've got a scripted top and tail, intro and outro to the episodes, and then the rest of it is mostly unscripted. But I have my notes to lead me on that journey. Um, and so I really would love to hear from you whether or not this is resonating, whether or not it is something that is interesting, that is important to you. Feel free to send me your questions and I can answer questions. It's about shaping this podcast in a way that is going to support you as you go about your leadership journey. So let me know what you would like to hear me talk about, what you would like me to deep dive into further. And yeah, as I said, any questions that you may have, you can send them all to info@jennifercowley.com. The the interesting thing I found about this podcast is it is both harder and easier than I thought it would be. So yesterday, it was so much harder than I thought it was going to be. Getting the system, doing the recording, getting myself in a position that I was really happy with, making sure that I had enough notes, that I didn't ramble, but then had a bit of a path that I wanted to go on, but not encouraging myself to read the scripted parts, and just trying to find where that sweet spot is for me. And now that I've sat here doing 5 episodes, and if you've listened from episode 1 to episode 5, you probably would hear a little bit of a shift in my tone of voice and the way that I'm talking, and probably even hear the smile on my face if you're not seeing some of this from a video perspective. I'm just so happy that I'm at episode 5 and that we've made it, and I cannot wait to now step into more depth and more um interesting topics, and my path of how we move through the leadership transformation journey, and how I help clients on that path. So I am really looking forward to continuing to be here. We have already beat the 3 episode curse. So hopefully that means that we will be here for a lot longer. I have some great episodes mapped out for the rest of the year and some really interesting interviews that I can't wait for you to hear. Over the next 3 weeks, we're going to really deep dive into that breaking barriers step of the leadership confidence transformation journey. And that's where we're going to next week. We will deep dive into that imposter syndrome reset and what that may look like for you, revisiting those 3 R's and the quick steps that you can go through whenever that imposter syndrome is ugly head. If you want to know more about that now and you can't wait till next week, you can either head over to episode 2 where I broke it down a little bit, or you can go to jennifercowley.com/reset where I've written about it there and really mapped out the 3 R's and get to know what that may look like for you. And if you want help with your imposter syndrome reset, you can book in with me for a 1-hour session where we can go through that journey together and really understand what is coming up for you in that imposter syndrome space and how your 3 R's may look and what we can script that out so that as it comes up, you can pull that out and you can read that back to yourself or have that conversation with yourself that we've already prepared and planned that will really help you move beyond that particular moment and every moment that kind of comes up after that. So head over there and I would love to hear from you. Please make sure that you are tuning in next week. We're going to be dropping episodes every Wednesday going forward. And I look forward to hearing your feedback on it. One thing that helped me get through the recording of this podcast that I was stopping and starting and I was trying to get through in one fell swoop of recording the whole thing back to back with no mistakes. And I remembered that in the Mel Robbins podcast, at the end of that, she has her bloopers reel and she has kind of a little bit of the behind the scenes edit in there. And I realized that I don't need to do it all in one continuous flow that I can stop and pause and start again and reset myself if I get a little bit tongue tied. And so, in honor of that, I am going to share with you at the end of this some of my bloopers of what I went through trying to stop and start. Obviously, you're not going to be able to hear when I didn't record anything in the major blooper that I had there, but this is just, once again, to live in that imperfect space and to recognize that you don't have to get it right first go every time. The 3 R's to reset the imposter syndrome, and that is reflect. No. Let me think of my own ones. Hang on. Sorry, I dropped my phone. Study it. And no, so Thank you for joining me for this episode of the Leadership Confidence Podcast. This has been episode 5 of our intro series where we dropped a new episode every day this week. If you missed any of them, make sure you go back and listen to episodes 1 to 4 of the Leadership Confidence Podcast, where we really introduced the podcast and the leadership confidence transformation journey. Make sure you also share this episode with someone who may need to hear it. You can connect with me, Jennifer Cowley, at the links in your show notes or head to jennifercowley.com to learn more about how you can work with me. And remember, being you is your superpower. If you are looking for a unique suit or blazer that is comfortable, easy to wear, and confidence affirming, check out Peak Women. The blazers have an affirmation hidden in the inside, acting as your secret cheerleader as you go about your day. Plus, they have pockets you can actually use inside and out. Check out the latest collection at Peak Women. That's PEAK women.com.au and use code podcast for a special listener discount.